Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to kill we go.
Didn't we already do the killing?
Oh, sorry. That was not a Easter egg. So anyways, you
Oh, no.
so
I just need to drop my digestive downstairs or I'll eat all of them and then I'll end up looking like Scott.
digestive?
Yeah,
Wait.
biscuits. Digestives.
First of all,
What?
food that is called digestive sounds horrible. Sounds like grandma's snack.
They're
Two.
like an oatmeal biscuit.
Two.
That's a really
Are they?
bad
A
name.
wheatmeal, maybe.
I suggest
No,
you
they're
eat,
really good.
I suggest you eat 4 or 5 of those packages. That way you can grow a proper beard and have a well-proportioned face.
Yeah, no, seriously though, that is a horrible name for a food.
Yeah, it's terrible. Thank you, Ted.
That doesn't sound remotely appealing.
No. So Neil's not here for this, but a message gets delivered to you in the form of, actually, it's traders come in to do trade the way that they usually do, and while they're there doing trade, one of them actually says to the guards, "Excuse me, may I please speak to?" The sound is way, the music's way too loud. I just realized the music is May I please speak to whoever it is that might be in charge? And they go over and get Kithel. They go over and get Kithel, and Kithel's like, yes, like, oh, we have a message to deliver to you from Vigil, and he's like, oh, not for me, and so he will bring this random trader all the way to the castle to speak with the two of you.
I don't know, does Kithel announce them at all?
The doors to your like throne room open, calling it the grand room open, and you see Kithel walking in with one of the traders of Vigil, one of the just people coming in and do trade before. Not anybody that's met with Ray or Valor or anything like that before, but just one of the traders comes in, and Kithel says, "Chosen of the hearth, and chosen of the quill, I bring before you one of the traders from Vigil, who says they have word from their leadership." And the man that speaks before, he's like, "Oh, hello. It's a pleasure to meet the acquaintance of the rulers of this land."
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you as well. Maybe is he gonna speak it or?
Oh yeah, they intend to speak. Yep.
Oh, then go ahead.
I was told to deliver a message. There was an apology that I was supposed to say, because typically speaking, there would be soldiers that would bring messages of this sort. But apparently, considering what had happened beforehand, they didn't want to send any soldiers. They didn't want to send the wrong message. So I'm here to deliver the correct message, which is that the three of you are cordially invited to head back to Vigil at whatever time you deem appropriate to meet with all of the leadership there. Otherwise, the Vigil herself would be more than willing to meet with you at any grounds that you find necessary, whether it be your home, Rid, or anywhere else that you would see necessary. She'd be more than happy to meet with the three of you independently somewhere else.
Just sort of look over to Raren.
Thank you for bringing us this word. I will have to discuss with my other rulers before we give you a verdict. Would you be amenable to us putting you up within the castle for a night?
Usually when we come to do trade, we end up staying here for one night anyways, and we have our own arrangements. So please don't tax yourself for something like that. And I appreciate the offer.
In that case, may I ask that you return tomorrow at your convenience, at which point we will give you our reply.
Absolutely. I also have to ask, is there somebody here by the name of Rayrin?
Yes, that would be me.
I was informed that you wanted to have some fish that was not salted.
I did mention this, yes.
We have 2 barrels of live fish in water, so that you can have it as fresh as possible to be delivered to you.
Valorant gives Rayron a look and a little bit of a smirk.
I would be grateful to accept such a kind offer, and I would ask that you send your thanks to all of your leaders for such a well-meaning and pleasant gift.
And they do a parent, that again, left hand instead of right. As opposed to a fist, it's kind of like almost like a open palm kind of a salute to you. You can tell this is just a trader. This is not a soldier, so on and so forth. But the salute is perfect, and they do that with a slight bow, and they turn and walk out.
That bodes well.
Indeed.
Mitchell just invented Uber Eats.
That is ruined.
That's brilliant. Oh, well. This is going to get complicated.
I know. Who's going to invent the app? No. So, anyways.
Oh my God.
It's like a cantrip.
Oh my God. Yes.
So we wouldn't necessarily know when one would be back. How long ago did he set out at this point?
Several days ago, but you honestly don't know how long it'll take him to get back. You can imagine that he's going to be gone for potentially 2 weeks. It's one of those. If he's gone for more than say 12 days, you would be in panic mode. If he's gone for more than 10, you'd be concerned. More than 12, you'd be in panic. He's been gone for let's say 8.
Okay, so he may be home. He may be back soon. I mean, home is correct too, but it sounds weird to say.
Welcome home. I brought something special for you.
Well, it seems we may have to make this decision on our own.
In that case, I would be keen to suggest that the vigil comes to a meeting first.
I agree. We can always do the meeting with everyone later. I don't like the idea of all of us going into vigil without more information on the table.
Indeed. We have time to carefully plan this. It also shows that we are not bowing to their wishes instantly. We are playing on a more level field.
Yes, I do not think hosting them here would be a good idea.
In which case, I would suggest that the vigil comes here. The reason being, I know it is not necessarily neutral ground. However, our leaders will be traveling to their city. There is no reason why she cannot travel here. Also, if anything were to happen to her, it will put us in a rather jeopardized position. Curseful is the safest outpost we have.
That is true. We may have to be careful about who we let around her here. We do not want her attempting any kind of suggestion that people leave or join or start worshipping Lady
I
Erebos.
think if she wanted to make those sort of suggestions, then she might have a better way than coming and saying it in person.
The way that they have acted in the way that they have proceeded in all events makes me believe it would be a situation where she would put us in a position where we would look like the bad guys if we didn't allow her to speak with someone, that sort of thing.
We must trust in the faith of our citizens.
You're right. Well then, unless one arrives back in the next day, I think we have our answer for now.
The next day comes later in the day, not in the morning. We're talking like maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoonish. And it's not Kithul, but, one of your soldiers announces the trader coming in. And they come in to speak with you again. And this time they actually come bringing the barrel of fish for you. And the 2 barrels, my apologies, of fish for you. And, I was getting the gift or whatever. And says, I've come to collect your message. We head out in the next hour's time. Did you have an opportunity to speak with each other?
We did, thank you. Valoryn and I came to the conclusion that we would be pleased to accept the vigil in our city. She would be treated as an honored guest, and we would begin some diplomatic talks and hopefully begin building a relationship that both our nations want.
So I was told that if you say that, that what I'm then supposed to tell you is that she is going to bring with her a guard to defend her on the transition, the travel from there to here. It'll be score strong. However, she expects for half of them to be welcome into the city, and half of them can stay outside of it, if that is what you need. If you want to allow more, of course, you're welcome to do so.
May I ask as to the size of this guard?
A score, 20.
Will we have space for them to all fit in the castle?
You can definitely take 20 into the castle, but you're not designed for that many guests, but you could. But they're saying half in the city, half out, but I know you're trying to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rarian would...
There's other homes, like you, because you are the ruler, you could say, you take this spot if you want to, whatever you want to do.
Rarian would say, we would be pleased to accommodate the Lady Vigil and her escort. If she wishes to have all of her men and women come within the castle, then that is, of course, something we will attempt to accommodate. However, if she feels comfortable leaving half of the unit outside, then that might save someone some work.
What was it, the last line one more time about saving work? Sorry.
That was it. It might save someone some work.
Okay. So they say, I'll deliver the message, of course. And thank you so much for all of your hospitality. You have a very welcoming nation here, and the trade always goes over well. You never have to worry about arguing with prices. People are fairly honest.
Thank you again. Are you sure you don't wish to stay and taste some of the fresh, lovely fish you've brought?
Unfortunately, I do have my spouse at home waiting for me, and I would not like to keep him waiting for too long.
Then I would ask that you give your thanks, my thanks to your rulers, and also your spouse for letting us borrow you.
Again, it's like a appropriate bow and whatnot, which, of course, is meant as a sign of respect. And then, he leaves to go and head back with the rest of the traders and to deliver your message.
I think it is a good idea to host any of the soldiers that come with her in the castle. We can keep a good eye on them.
You must attempt to view these people in better faith, Valoryn. I understand the need for caution, but I do not believe they are our enemies. You should find out when I try some of these fish if I keel over from a poisoning.
I highly doubt that will happen.
Yes, it would be rather brazen.
That I distrust them. It's more that I have become acutely aware how often my trust can cause issues.
Wow. He's saying he don't trust you.
What?
Sorry. He's saying he regrets trusting you.
Sometimes,
What?
perhaps,
That's not what. That's not what he's saying at all.
sometimes, perhaps you are naive in who you trust. However, that has its place. One cannot simply be like one and trot around the land trusting no one simply because of their religion or race.
Yes, I definitely can't see myself doing that anytime soon. But yes, thank you. I'll attempt to push things back the other way again. Thank you.
You're usually the forgiving one, after all.
Yes, well, pushing myself sometimes changes that for a little while.
Yes, I understand you didn't have the nicest treatment at their hands, but they are trying
Well, it's a bit of
reasonably
both.
hard to make amends.
Yes, as I said, there was something initially that worried me. It's mostly gone, but there's still that little bit nagging. But you were right. You should view them as allies for now, at least, or at least
Until one
not
gets
enemies.
here.
Yeah, at least, and that's why I corrected myself. At least not enemies.
I think there's nothing wrong with being suspicious, but you should be careful that it doesn't impact the negotiations.
Indeed.
One is level-headed, but he's so suspicious of these people that he's incapable of enjoying anything that they might present.
This is very true. So about those fish.
Yes, do you fancy fish for dinner?
I think I do.
And they'd being the big man children they are, head off down to the cooks
Oh,
and
yes.
be like, this is what you're making, by the way.
Yeah, we're not cooking it ourselves.
That's what I have servants for. I would never go to the marketplace. I have servants that go for my servants.
Ruling a kingdom is so much work. We at least can enjoy the
Right?
perk.
Exactly. We've got to have a nice meal, right?
All right. So so much work sitting there and let other people do the work. So you guys actually it's literally as the sun sets on day 11, one of those things where you're like, I really hope one is back by the morning. That as the sun is setting on day 11, that one comes back and it's not alone. He comes back with you catch message, the two of you. This is after your meal is over, and you're probably saying, I shouldn't say as the sun sets. Let's just say after night falls. So this is after you've already had your evening meal and whatnot, and the two of you are probably separating from one another to do preparations for your own nighttime activities or going to bed or whatever. That Kithel would kind of interrupt the two of you, like, excuse me, chosen of the hearth and chosen of the quill.
We just look out from under the bed sheets together, like, what?
Pillow vibe.
You're like in our silk pajamas.
I can imagine hitting Kithel with a pillow. And just, please stop that.
I've just received word that one has returned. One with his
fantastic.
companion too, and with many others. I'm told they're heading directly for Vigil. They have 2 more upon horses, but they are covered, cloaked, completely covered, so we were not able to identify the other 2 with him.
Clarify, you said directly to Vigil?
Sorry, Rogar's temple.
I
That's
got
it,
lost
they've
along
converted.
the way.
He's like, I got
One.
soldiers, I'll take care of
Just
this.
charging. Just...
It's like 2. He's like, you ready for this? 1, 2, and so they go. He's like, He's just informed you. Stop eating, Neil.
Look, I'm dipping my digestives in my cup of tea,
It
all right?
sounds awful. It sounds so gross.
This is an ancient
don't
British
dip
ritual.
your digestives and eat them. It sounds like poop.
Yeah, it does. It's not good. No.
Look, you guys just don't understand that this is part of my heritage, all right? Do not attempt to deny me this.
I'm not going to deny you. I'm just going to make fun of you for it.
Just why?
That's like me saying Scott's not allowed guns, or
You could just you could say that guns are a bad idea. You can say that digestives are a bad idea.
Or me saying that Tesh is not allowed to not like Vegemite, which is true.
Yeah. I completely understand the whole dipping those kind of biscuits in tea and coffee like that. That's great. Just why the name?
I don't know. Right. Okay. We're getting to the bottom of this. Origin of McVitie's digestives.
So when the two of you guys were walking down to the Temple of Rogar to meet up with one, it's kind of like as you're literally heading down the stairwell, you'll see that one is actually walking up the stairwell with one, two, and it's two people that are completely shroud sitting atop of horses. All of the other persons that were brought with him were transported. Were left back at the temple. So literally, it's one of those things. One, where as you are walking,
two is at the temple with them.
Well, I was gonna say, as you guys are walking up the temple steps, and two sees the two of them coming out, he'll turn to you and say, "You sure you don't want me to make sure they don't get away before you get them in a cell?
They ain't getting anywhere.
I could break a knee. I could break 4 knees.
We've already knocked them unconscious.
I could break all 4 knees.
You probably will."
Punch to the shoulder, and then turns and starts walking back to the temple and says, "In Rogar's name."
And one just yells out behind him, "You know what to do with the people in the temple."
Yep. Heal him up. Put him in a pit.
He just laughs and walks. I have our soldiers. They're accompanying us as well.
Mm-hmm. And so you guys don't really have to come down the stairs other than maybe a couple more steps as one comes up to you. Within 2 persons, completely shrouded and cloaked and whatnot under the back of horses. And then there's just one. You saw 2 chat with him and walk off. And you see the soldiers kind of walking up behind them. Not the soldiers that he left with, but some more soldiers as well.
Aurorum would give him the old forearm grasp. I'm pleased to see you're back, one, and I see that you have got more than we had bargained for. And what?
Aurorum, not safe. Let's go inside.
As you guys turn to go inside, you see that led by Kithel, Elliot comes out as well, and is looks excited, concerned, all that at once. He starts looking over the faces and trying to see all the faces of all the soldiers, but when he sees that they're not all there, he just looks, distraught. It's kind of accepts it, and it's kind of steps out of the way so the rulers can walk by first.
So I lead the horses inside with the people on there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have the 2 guards, drape them over their shoulder or whatever, and we carry them down to the basement or wherever our cells are.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we do have some cells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I put them in there, and then I have all the guards that I brought with me wait for us in, I don't know, whatever type of common room break room that the guards have.
Oh, no, Brady, you can't come in. No, you can't come in the room. As open as it can be easier. You have to stay out there because you have to let me know if somebody comes to deliver a package. My dog's like, door's open, I'm going in. I'm like, no, you have to bark if somebody goes to the door so I can sign for an important package. Like I have to sign for a package that I need today.
It's me.
I
It's
can't.
my package.
Yeah, he actually severed it,
That's why I need this tea and biscuit. I'm still like getting over the shock.
He's actually eating my digestives.
But stiff upper lip and all that. All you need is a couple bickies and a cuppa.
Oh God, that was painful.
For the reckon, it's called the digestive because it had a high baking soda.
So you you can continue with that one. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt you with the dog trying to burst into the room.
Oh yeah, the last thing I said was the guards are instructed to wait in like a common area or whatever.
Of course, not down in the cell. Of course,
they're not to leave the castle either.
The horses aren't going to be able to. They can literally walk into the throne room, the main room. And
but that's when I had them taken off.
Yep.
Yeah.
And left them covered,
and
right? And brought them down. Yep. Okay, cool. And then they leave. So then there's two. It's after they're carried off that you notice that the people sitting on top of the horses weren't riding them; they're propped up on them, and now the persons are put inside the cells. One, I'll allow you to continue, or you guys interact with one another.
It's like Weekend at Bernie's, medieval style.
Yeah, Valorous is confused and trying to figure out what's going on.
One.
Yes.
Who are these people?
Before I answer that question, can I just take a moment to compliment how well I did this job? I want to say that before I tell you what happened.
Okay. We need to know what happens to agree or disagree.
So he regales you with the tale of how he scouted out the place. They snuck in, took out the guards, the snake attack, then healed the guy, and pretty much how we got through and got these two people. And then he tells you how he just says they were the commanders there. They had the men stand down. And I don't think we lost a man, did we, Scott?
Hold on. No, technically you didn't. Technically you didn't, yeah. I mean, lots of injuries. There were a lot of injuries, but yeah.
Yeah. So he just goes on with that and says, we didn't even lose a man. And he looks over and he goes, you know who these two are? He goes, the man, massive coward, by the way, he is on the council for Hodgwen. But she seems to run things. I feel like she's the one pulling the strings with her husband, at least. She owned and operated a slaving ring. I've brought a lot of
I'm going to
loot back as well from this place.
Immediately just do this and have a look around and look on them just for anything that might be like tracking magic or anything like that.
So my apologies. Detect magic. You actually do detect magic on them. You actually detect that she is wearing one of the little bracelets, like a bit of jewelry that she's wearing, is in fact magical. And she has another magic item inside of her, I suppose she wouldn't really have that on her anymore. It'd be amongst the stuff because she doesn't really have a purse or anything like that with her at the moment. Because, we've been taken.
Okay, well, I'm going to try and spellcraft and figure out what type of magic that is on the wrist thing.
Yeah, it's literally like a golden bracelet with a couple of gemstones in it. Mm-hmm.
What is it?
With authority, what is it?
Yeah.
So anyways, you actually are able to identify the bracelet while she's still unconscious. Go over there, spend like a minute or so kind of checking it out. And you realize that the bracelet itself actually has some decently powerful, what's that spell called? Sorry, I think it's divination. Let me just check.
Ah, fuck.
Divination, so evocation magics. And you realize that each one of the stones, and it looks like maybe at one point in time there were 6, but there's 4 left stones, allows you to cast Sending once.
Has she been unconscious the entire time since you've seen her? Or in your eyes since you saw her?
She's not been unconscious for the entire trek. That'd be like
No, she hasn't. But is
serious
it
brain damage.
would it be obvious if she was doing something?
It wouldn't necessarily be obvious because Sending is a spell that you would do internally.
Fuck.
Yeah. One just says, she's been unconscious for a bit of it. Not the whole thing.
This bracelet allows her to use a spell that allows you to communicate over long distances quite stealthily. It is quite likely she has already talked to someone about this.
One nod.
Yeah.
And just kind of thinks, and he's like, well, if that's the case, she'll pay you very dearly.
So what? It was a bracelet that had what?
4 more uses of the Sending spell.
Former. Oh, 4 more. How many gems are in it?
It would have been.
It would have been 6. So the 7 confused.
So yeah, I did it by accident. I didn't want to say 6 because that you might have thought I said sex.
Well, now I'm erect. I mean, like, erectly to attention.
You had the right idea, one. It was just unfortunate that she had a contingency.
Well, she's just signed a death warrant. After she tells us everything.
There's a sort of just pause as tries to just sort of like move on with the conversation. Well, we need to find out if she has talked to someone, and if so, what she has said. I imagine you have, from what I've seen, ways of getting that. I'd rather not know the specifics.
So let's have the guards separate them into separate cells.
Yeah, I had them put them in separate cells.
Okay,
They're
cool.
not in the
But
same
like where
cell.
they can't talk to each other or see each other, unless they were really screaming. And then Aurorum would suggest we should speak to the man first. You said he was a coward. He's also a counselor. He's more likely to know.
But the woman, I feel like maybe we should talk to her first, as she's the brains behind the operation and also has been apparently sending messages.
If we talk to the man, you might be able to trick him into saying something he really.
Oh, the men will talk. The men will talk no matter what. But I feel like the woman is most pertinent.
But you can use the information you get from the man to be able to ask more pertinent questions for her.
If she feels that all her secrets have already been revealed by him, she'll be more likely to crack. There's no point dying.
She's seen what I did to the Hodgwen soldiers. Believe me, she'll talk.
What did you do?
We killed them all. Every last one.
I see.
I wasn't sending them back to Hodgwen.
Fair
Oh, by the
enough.
way, while we were there, we found some weird wall. Me and two managed to bust through it, and there is. Would I know it's Mull, or I would just think it's a weird language?
You've seen enough Mull to know.
You've seen us
I'd
be
say
obsessed with more.
There was a lot of Mull written everywhere, and a pool that reacted as we got closer. Kind of. Yeah, there's definitely some significance there. I just thought you guys would be aware because that's your area.
Whereabouts on the map was this? And he'll like pull out his personal like little map.
One month.
Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember where Elliot once got kidnapped from you guys, and you had to like free him from people that he got kidnapped by good people, but thought he was a bad guy? Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's literally like a couple miles from there, inside that woods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, those good guys not doing their job very well.
Well, no one knew.
That's true. Right.
So you wish to speak to the woman first, then? One.
I believe that's where the real information is going to come from.
If you think so, perhaps that's true. Then perhaps... Oh. Phone call. 1 second.
Okay, so you guys will go over and you'll awaken her because obviously you don't need necessarily Raven for every bit of it. So you go over
Yeah,
there.
she'll be stripped down to her undergarments now. She has to be.
Which of course is like a
She's
gown. Or,
considering things.
it's of course a gown or whatever that she's wearing.
Yeah.
And so when she's finally like kind of like woken, which is probably at the tail end of pulling her stuff off of her because it'd be jarring, would wake her up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Val?
Val would probably not want to be here for interrogation. Oh, he might be outside the cell. Listening.
You know that one doesn't interrogate by breaking fingers and stuff like that. That's not his approach.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah, that's not how one
Is that-
generally does it. That's not how one has ever done it before that you've seen.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, no, hey.
That doesn't mean it won't happen this time, but it's not how he has done it before. So you, like you said, you stripped her down to the undergown and everything, and so she literally wakes up at the tail end of that, and so it's kind of like one of those drown, like what, huh, oh, what,
And grabs her by the throat.
Oh, Jesus.
And he says, been sending messages, have we?
What?
Don't lie to me. Do not lie.
Oh.
We've been through this before.
Roll a sense
I
motive.
would just be like,
Oh, holding up the bracelet.
yeah.
Roll a sense motive. You can all roll.
One would have cast his message on her, his thing on her as well, with that touch.
I'm not good at this.
Do.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's somebody that's good at it. He's the person that is the worst. He's the person you don't want to catch you lying.
Yeah.
Like everybody else would be like, now listen, that was not the smart way of going about this. Let's correct it. He's like, I broke your nose. Want to say it again? So anyways, she's like, no, I did not send any messages.
With my sense motive.
You actually believe her.
I turn and I say, we found a bracelet. Yours. With some... how would I describe it?
Communication
Magical
magic.
properties.
Yeah. That allows you to speak to people far away. And seems 2 of the charges have been used.
Yes. They're mine. Bracelet. I've used them in the past. Can you loosen this?
He does loosen it, but also I did cast that spell, Scott, so that would have given her a -4 on her bluff as well.
Correct.
So if I still believe her,
Correct.
one would turn and say, he just kind of looks over to Rayron. I don't know if Valoran's out of sight or
No,
not,
I'd be
but
there. I'd be there. Because I showed her
says-
the bracelet.
Squeamishly
he
handing
says-
back in the doorway.
I would be
I
as
feel
far
like we're
back as I
both
can.
we're both a little less, you know.
He says, Vrogar is telling me that there's truth to what she says.
It's because I'm not lying. We made an
And he-
agreement.
And he looks and he says, plus she's been bound this whole time. I don't know if you need to activate things a certain way or not. But
Would I know if she needs to?
You actually know that you could simply crush the like if you roll it the right way and say like if you roll it the right way, it would crush it and you're like turning it to dust and allowing the spell to take effect. So she could do it bound.
Yeah, being bound does not stop you from using something like this. But if that's the case, we lucked out. He would say that quietly. In fact, I think whenever I'm talking to him and I don't want her to hear it, I may even just be using message just to do it cleverly.
Counsel from afar.
Okay. Did you? What did you say, Valorant?
That she can in fact use it while bound, but if that is the case, then we're lucky that she hasn't.
Okay. He just nods. And he says, "So, what's your role with Hodgwen? You're obviously the brains behind your husband. Let's be honest."
Could you just let me down? I'm here to talk.
Yeah, he puts it down. But he's standing uncomfortably close.
Was it necessary to disrobe me?
Well, I didn't know you were hiding magical artifacts, so maybe I should have done that from the start.
It was something that I've always had in my person. May I? And she gestures towards her gown. That's like probably on a pile on the floor.
Rayrim would pick up the gown and hand it. Here you are. We can do this cordially and easily.
She spends like a minute kind of like turning around and trying to put this. Again, a gown is like this old-fashioned gown. It takes time to put on the proper way, but at least it's more than just like her undergown that she was wearing. So this is covered more, even if it's sloppy looking. Which you can imagine she has not looked this way since her wedding night. Anyways, so the cousin height. So she's very, of course, frazzled with the situation. She's like, all right, I'm here to talk. We made a deal. I'm willing to uphold my end of the bargain. I'll gladly give you the information you're looking for. Yes, I'm here of Hodgwen. I'm a bit of, you can call it nobility there. I have a bit of status and a lot of money. Had a lot of money. I run a certain operation that is allowed for the profits of the city, and my husband is on the council.
One looks to Rayron and more or less wants to kind of hand over the questioning to him, because we need to know everything that's going on.
Rayrim would grab a stool, step forward, sit down next to her. Now, one here is rather more vicious than I. And as you have seen, one is not the only one of his kind in this city. What I would ask is that I supply you with paper and a quill, and you write down any and all pertinent information about Hodgwen for me. If so, then until the conclusion of this war in Hodgwen, you will remain here in the dungeons. However, I shall ensure that there is a proper bed, other amenities available to you. You should be my guest within the castle, if you provide me with as much information as possible. Rest assured that you will get more than just basics if you are also able to use your considerable contacts back home to provide me with a source of information from within the city. At the end of this, you could see yourself coming out not penniless or dead, but on the right side of the winning team, and with a substantial amount of power in Hodgwen. Rest assured, the previous councillors will struggle to rule it after we are done.
After you're done speaking, she does blink a few times. Like, let's be serious. She didn't expect such an offer. She says, if it's not too much to ask, may I a minute to think of my decision? She was
I,
again blown back by the offer that you made, and so it's kind of like one of those. That's a lot to analyze.
Very well. We will leave you for 10 minutes. However, I can only encourage my friends to resist from their methods for so long.
She nods.
He'd stand. And they'd leave. He'd make sure a guard was watching her.
Okay. So you guys would leave or whatever, and whatnot. You come back like about 10 minutes later on, and her dress is better set and better put together, and so on and so forth, but clearly a mess. I mean, again, this is something you usually have like a handmaiden or whatever assist you to get put on correctly, but she's better put together. Her hair kind of like retied back up. She looks not just a complete and utter disheveled mess off the road and having that ripped off of her and whatnot. So when she comes back, she's sitting more proper, and when you come in, she'll stand. And she'll like kind of your approach. I don't know if you would speak first or you're expecting her to.
He would let her speak. He would like pleasantly nod, seeing that she's more her usual self. He's trying to foster the feeling that actually she's not like I'm nobility in Held-Gwen. It's like I'm nobility among enemy nobility now.
Yep. So she says, I have to admit the offer that you made is a considerable one, and certainly one that I am looking to take advantage of. Now, I don't want to waste your time, because you honestly, at least you honestly, seem like somebody that is very keen on not having their time wasted.
I respect that.
You took from, well, where you took me from, and that incidents transpired.
His eyes narrow slightly.
You took...
In fact, he's going to sense motive that specific thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Probably roll like pants now.
Oh no.
You know that she clearly was like thinking back on whatever happens down there, that it was disturbing.
She's got the same sort of haunted look as those guys after the incident with Orsugo.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she's like, transpired. You took everything that was down there, or at least most things that were down there. That included many notes, ledgers, details, and whatnot. I will gladly provide for you everything that you would like. However, and this can be under guard, under your supervision if you would like, I would like to have access to what it was that you had taken, so I don't waste your time with writing perhaps what you already have over again. I'll expand on the knowledge that you've already procured, and, if possible, try to bend a few ears to your, well, the offers that you're willing to make. It wouldn't be a lie to those that I reach out to. You make considerable offers.
So you wish to have your things moved here, correct?
Wherever it is that you're looking to keep me, at least for a period of time while under supervision, I do not mind, of course. Not that I have much say in the matter. To look over details so I don't waste your time with reiterating books already read.
Very well. My name is Rayron, and I am chosen of the Quill here. He would offer a hand.
She takes your hand, does, dead fish style, and she says, I am Lady Lady Grayeras. Sorry, Grayeras.
Sorry.
Alife Grayeras.
It is a pleasure to make the acquaintance of a lady who is practical in these dangerous times.
She's then going to look to one and say, you asked a question before, and I imagine you still want an answer. So please understand, we've made a deal, and we're making another one now. I'll be as amenable as I possibly can, in every way that I can. You wanted to know where the other soldiers went. I don't know. You have my ledgers, and so perhaps you're hoping that I'd be able to open them, or one of your men would. to know where the soldiers went. You will not find it there. The reason for this being, I participated in trade for profit in the name of Hodgwen. However, it is not Hodgwen's operation. It is an operation that comes from Paradel. All the ledgers of such transactions are kept by them, by their rule, and we work within the confines of their ruling. If you want to find where it is that those men went, I can point you in the direction of who it is that handles those ledgers and where you might find them. But we do not hold that record. And to be honest, we wouldn't do it on the sly either. Should, heaven forbid, there be a person that came with sniffing, you wouldn't want records like that sitting around.
One just nods. It doesn't say anything. He does say to her, though, we've heard rumors of spies within our nation. Do you know any of these? Could you name them?
I do not. I don't typically intermingle with the rabble that comes out of Hodgwen to do such outreachings. I barely knew the names of those that were inside my area. However, again, I do know of persons that are very likely in charge of this, and certainly my husband's hands could reach into such a pile.
That brings me to my next question. Lady Guerras, you have been obliging, and you will be treated fairly as such. Your husband, however, we haven't had the chance to speak to him. I understand he is rather spineless. That means he's likely to agree to serve, however, flee or betray us at the first chance.
My husband is a bit of a fool. It was an arranged marriage. He had a bit of position, and I had, well, finances and wherewithal, but no position. He was guided into the successes that he has, but as a bit of a bumbling buffoon. He will probably work with you in word, but make some sort of bungling along the way, trying to think he was doing a heroic deed in the name of Hodgwen. Being honest with you, because I can already see by the presence of the people before me that likely in this coming conflict, I was on the losing side. I wish to not sit that way. He doesn't have that kind of foresight.
Do you love your husband?
It was an arranged marriage.
I like that answer.
I do love my children, however, and my children do love him.
While we cannot guarantee that Lord Guerras will remain in his current position, rest assured that should we encounter any of your children, they will either join you in safety here or remain in safety wherever they are.
Well, I have 3 children. 2 of them are not in Idir. They are in other lands. It would just be my son, and my son has a bit of a position because of my husband's status.
Please elaborate.
He was trained by the Paradel military many years ago, cousin, and he acts as he's heading up some of the training that's happening here. I do not believe in his bullheadedness. I'd be able to sway him from his cause. I will give you all the aid that I can in how it is to encounter that situation, how it is to handle the situation when you encounter it, from the position that I'm in, clearly taking note of the fact that she's not in a position to make much bargaining. If in exchange, you do not take his life.
Rayron would glance to the others, and he would say, "You have been amenable to us, and you have been reasonable.
I've seen
As
what
such."
happens when... Oh, sorry. She wouldn't interrupt, but she... Go ahead, you finish.
As such, we are reasonable as well. We will do our best that should we encounter... what was your son's name?
Oh, sorry. And actually, I'll tell you that yet. Let me get it. It's written right here. Belterin.
Belterin.
Beltorin. Yeah, Belterin.
Should we encounter Belterin, we will either capture him with minimal aggression, or we will persuade him to our way of thinking.
One turns to Rayron and says, "That may be all well and good, but on the battlefield, sometimes things can't be avoided. And if he attacks us head on, are we to lie down on our backs?"
One speaks truthfully. We cannot spare his life at the cost of another's.
She nods. She says, "It's my responsibility to arrange things in such a way to garner a path of survival for my son. It's your responsibility to rule your nation and do what you see fit."
Very well. Then I think the agreement is that we will do our best to ensure your son is removed from the combat alive.
She just says, and this is like every moment so far, every conversation, literally everything you've heard, tones, so on and so forth, with your sense motives, have been a calculated woman that truly understands that she is lost and that she is making deals within the area that she can and potentially coming out on top. This is literally, as you're reading it, as it comes off as, seems very plain. But what seems even more plain is the next two words she says comes dripping with the emotion of a mother. She says, "Thank you."
We will see about getting your ledgers and whatnot provided. I shall bring you down a quill, an ink pot, and some paper shortly. You can make a list of things you might need. Keep the amenities simple for now. You will be granted more luxury as time goes on and as you prove yourself.
She nods. She does say, "I will work on this as soon as you would like. The road was long."
Take 4 days to rest.
She
You will not be
seems
bothered.
genuinely surprised when you say 4 days. Like, oh.
One puts his hand up and he says, "Who does the message go to? Is it anyone that you want?"
When I sent the message, it would be for anybody that I would please, but within a shorter distance than you might think. However, there is another that holds a bracelet. Actually, there's 3 others that hold the bracelets, and it can go to them across any distance. Nothing can
He
stop
just son
it.
one of them.
What was that?
He just son one of them.
All 3 of my children.
Ah,
May you not ask your son to come to you? We may be able to capture him with minimal resistance.
He has my cunning and his father's bluster. He would not be someone so easily fooled into charging into such a situation.
While I admit this is rather obvious, could he not be convinced to perhaps attend his mother in Reed? We have not made our alliance with the area entirely formal at this point. I'm sure there are whispers among those from Howdgwen, but as you have so clearly pointed out, mothers and sons and fathers are willing to do things they deem less than wise to protect their loved ones.
If that is what you think is a better option, then I will do that for you. I don't know what the response would be or how he would approach it.
What would the response be if you were to send all 3 of your children a message to say that their father had passed?
She actually reads that keenly, and she's like, "Well, with the passing of a family member, typically speaking, everybody comes very quickly. However, it would be strange for them not to all return to Hod Gwen. It's where he was born and raised.
But would he come to help you collect the body and return it to Hodwan?
She nods and says, actually, yes. Not alone, but yes.
This is something we should think on.
I agree. It's a good line of thinking. As for now, I believe we ought to speak to your husband. Good evening. He'd sort of he seems to be a bit like in his own thoughts as he like turns around and leaves.
Yeah, and Valorant's just going to do a courtesy prestidigitation.
Kind of like clean up her clothing and kind of like lace it up a little bit more, tie it up so it's like, again, it's not 100% done, but looks even better than she was able to do by herself, like lacing up the back and stuff like that, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like a kindness sort of
Yep.
courtesy thing.
Okay.
If you go to leave, you see one stands there. He does not leave the cell yet, and it looks like he is really fighting with something in his own head, and he's just staring at her.
Raren will simply give a look and then head on to the other cell.
Okay.
Valorant will use message again and say to one, "You've shown impressive restraint. This woman does not deserve it, but we need it."
He's. Can I reply or you can't?
No, not in this edition.
No.
He says. He turns and he says, "You might want to go next. You might want to go speak to the husband."
Once again, when he turns and
of what
says
Jake's
that,
gonna do.
yeah, when he turns and says that, Raren gives him a bit of a stronger look, like a warning look this time, like a "don't mess this up."
One turns to Rayron and seeing that look and says, "She will live. Everything you promised her, I will abide by. But I have one condition of my own.
She looks concerned.
She will be branded, and the brand will last for 4 days. She ran a slave operation enslaving, our men and many others. Many of these men were born, more or less just to be slaves." He says 4 days is a courtesy. And he says, "Give me," and he looks to her and he just says, he doesn't say, he asks for her hand.
She gives her hand. Again, hesitant. She's genuinely afraid of you, like across the board. Really fucking afraid of you. But it's one of those things where she hesitates for a moment, swallows, takes a breath, and then gives you her hand.
And he is going to brand her, and he's going to brand like, what can he brand? Can he brand like slaver or something like that?
I mean,
I can't remember.
You it's up to you what it looks like. You can do
I thought it was with
you can do the broken chain.
oh
you
yeah,
can do whatever
sure,
you want,
yeah.
And he would never mark a slaver with the mark of Brogar.
Well, I meant the broken chain, so like the. But I got what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you would like to do.
He just marks her as a slaver. I'm assuming there's like a mark.
Non-broken chain.
Unbroken chain. There you go. It's actually just a mark of Lady Aravel, And she's actually a cleric. She uses it as her holy symbol. Oh, sorry.
That tickled me. I thought she's like, and just blasts it, like an 8th level cleric.
All right. So, anyways, yep. So you brand her, and so it burns as it goes on, and she winces through the pain, but again, she doesn't do anything. So she takes it. Again, she's genuinely afraid of you. Like when you step up and you're standing in her presence, she's like frozen. Like the two of them, like she's intimidated by the situation. She's not an idiot. You know what I mean? She's intimidated by the situation. She knows that her life is out of balance. And if she doesn't play her cards right, she's going to end up dead. So she might as well be aid you in every way possible so she doesn't die. However, with you seem like an unpredictable, like an axe can fall at any point in time. But even though it wasn't you that did the deeds that she witnessed, she associates you with those deeds. So it's like a paralyzing fear. Just like you standing like and stepping up to her with like that look. It's like, because you were there that close with that look when she watched it. You know what I mean? And so it's PTSD shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
So.
And he just says to her, he says, remember those two. They're the only reason. And then that's all he says, and he leaves.
Okay. It's not until like probably like 15, 20 seconds after you leave the room that she finally like does a sigh of relief. You know what I mean? Because you have a lingering.
Good cop, and terrible cop.
Good cop, great cop, torture.
Yeah.
You go walking into the chamber with her husband, who's actually finally arose on his own, and he's kind of sitting there like, oh.
Just before we'd go in, before we were in sight of him, Rowan would like grasp one's shoulder and like give it a squeeze and a nod.
He just looks at you, and you see he's struggling internally because this is not what's supposed to happen. He's been brought up, his background that he's told you, and the order that he's been trained in. This goes against everything, but he's just silent.
I'm expected to be the spy master of the kingdom. I cannot do that with no information. I need to do what I can to save people's lives, and I understand that it goes against what is morally right. But I am willing to take that upon my conscience and mine alone if it means saving lives.
Yes, it's an unfortunate situation. She does not deserve the mercy, but we can use that mercy to save others that do not deserve the death that would come otherwise. Then we can minimize the slaughter.
That's why I brought them back.
Thank you. You've done well.
He nods.
Though she did seem rather terrified of you. More so than usual people are. What did you do down there?
Maybe it's best if I speak with you alone. Valorant probably doesn't want to hear of such things.
Ah.
Let's speak to this gentleman first, then, and we will discuss matters later, perhaps.
Yep.
Poor Val. He's just trying to not be a terrible person.
I'm sparing him the details of something he doesn't want to know.
I get it, because like Varen's legitimately, he's a good person, and like this would physically pain him.
Yeah, I'll put it. It's actually a great sort of dichotomy of the same way one is struggling with this, but he knows it's for the better. Val would struggle with that, but knows that it's for the better.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Whereas I'm sitting lovely and nice neutral.
You just know it's smart.
Okay. So you guys go walking into the chamber. Like I said, he's kind of sitting there and like rubbing his head, like he's clearly got some sort of headache or whatever going on. Like it just hurts. And he hears a door open up, and it takes like a second, and he kind of like looks up to see the three of you walking in. And so I imagine the first one's, like Val, the second one's Ray, and then one walks in and he jumps up, like out of fear.
Rayron would once again take a seat on the stool in there, but this time he moves. His sword sort of sits behind his back in a sheath there. He moves the scabbard so it's sitting across his knees, and then crosses his foot, like does this with his hands, and doesn't say anything.
That goes to the two of you. Do you say anything first?
One says, "This is my counterpart. You will answer him. You will answer him truthfully. You will not lie." Do I make myself clear?
Yeah.
How does he say that?
He says, yeah.
Like, kind of like in a smart way, or is like
He's not. He's analyzing the situation himself. He doesn't know. Like, you can see he's thinking, trying to like figure things out right now.
one looks to Rayron and just gives him the eye, like, you want me to soften him up?
Go.
What was your name?
Lord Greyrass.
Lord Greyrass.
Oh, we have a
What is-
lord. One laughs.
What is your position within the city of Haudgwen?
Hi.
Not good enough, specifically.
Very high.
Smack!
So you hit him in the side of the head.
It is much easier if you just answer him, then less of that will happen.
In fact, none of that needs to happen should you simply answer us kindly and carefully.
I'm sorry. Are you gonna bind me too? Fuck
You know what? I'm gonna cut off your hand if you don't. If you this is what you're gonna do, I'm taking your hand.
You can see he's kind of like thinking for a second. You know what I mean? And he's just like,
I'd advise you listen to what this one has to say, pointing to Rayron.
yeah. Last time people listened to it, he said he killed him anyways, and it was disgusting.
Okay. Rayron, would you like to hold him down, or shall I have a guard do it?
You can see like he's
but-
starting like he's panicking, like he's giving you vocal bluster, but he's also kind of like panicking too.
Rayron will stand, holding the scabbard, and say, I believe you can simply hold his hand, and slowly draw the blade out, pushing it so instead of the nice natural noise you hear it rasp as the non-sharp end, draws its way out the scabbard. And then it begins to glow. And it's an unnatural, horrible red begins to seep throughout the blade. And then it begins to turn a horrible dark purple. And it seeps, and you can see it, and almost there's a part of the red that sort of begins to seep towards his direction before the purple overtakes it and draws it back, concentrated around the blade, and then it sinks in, and there's just this soft purple glow following the edge of the blade.
He's you can see that he's trying to hide. Like he's like, locking his jaw and he's trying to hide the fact that he's freaking out right now, but he's trying to seem, put together. And he's like, and he looks actually over at Val and says, is this how the Martyr does things?
One grabs him and starts wrestling him to the ground.
Rayron inspects the blade, turns it, and he says, I was told that this blade eats people's souls. Perhaps you can hear them. And then he just places the tip of the blade on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
See, the Martyr offers forgiveness, and there is a route for you to go where that is the case. But these two are not part of that route. So, are you going to cooperate and answer questions nicely? Or am I going to leave?
He breathes heavily, and he doesn't answer yet, but he does ask, so the actions down there were sanctioned by Valoran?
Stretches the arm out now, gripping his hand with one's bigger hand and getting ready for where the wrist would be cut.
I know that one is like, come on, let's do it already. But Ray, roll me your sense motive.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do sense motive about whether this is where I leave.
Okay.
Oh, that's not sense motive. I slipped. Ignore that. That was a terrible roll as well. It's okay. That was a terrible roll too.
Okay. Ray, you get the impression that he's about to crack. Like he's not as much of a tough guy as he's pretending to be in the moment. He's just like pushing it to its limits, and he's about to crack.
Raren carefully, he moves the blade from on his shoulder to rest against his neck, then raises it slowly up and says, "Last chance saloon."
Fine. Fine. I'll cooperate.
Good.
He'd sheath the sword and then motion for one to hit him.
One obliges.
Now that we have got that awful lack of cooperation out of the way, perhaps we can begin again. He'll sit down, sword hidden this time. What is your position?
He's thinking. He's like we're talking, doesn't respond, looks away, and he's clearly like really thinking.
Your wife is in another cell.
Yeah, I know. I'll answer your questions. What happens if I answer your questions?
What do you want to happen? Perhaps,
Doesn't matter.
if you answer
It doesn't
and
matter.
give me enough information that I will let your wife live.
No, it's fine. I'm sure that's exactly what will happen. So, I'm on the council for Hodgwen.
Do you have any specific position within this, or are you simply an advisor among many?
I preside over the bank. I preside over the finances of Hodgwen.
I see. And how are the finances in Haldgwen?
Was this fucker there when we had our thing?
You did not see this particular person, but he probably knows exactly who you're referring to. He says, pitfalls, but overall on the rise.
How is it that they're making their money?
Buying things cheap, selling them expensive.
Like selling things such as water?
Sure. Water, food, supplies, whatever it might be. Grain.
That can't be sustainable for an economy.
So most economies work.
No, I mean, okay, I'm misunderstanding what he means then. I wouldn't say that. I think I personally misunderstood what you meant.
No, that's fine.
A banker, you say?
Correct.
I would like to know more about the finances of Haldgwen. You tell me that they are on the rise and that they're doing quite nicely.
Yeah.
Would you be able to give me an estimate of the worth?
Not without many hours, a good-sized abacus, and all the ledgers. Otherwise, it'd be a shot from the hip.
Give me your shot from the hip, though really firing a crossbow from the hip is where you should be firing it. You risk losing your bottom jaw to the string. I can tell you're not a soldier.
It's funny when you say that, you actually kind of catch him off guard. It's one of those, like, he kind of does one of those, like, left eye shifts, like, oh.
Oops.
and he says, clearing his throat to break it at the moment. Treasury's probably sitting somewhere, give or take, around 200. Like, he gives a number that equates to about 200 BP.
That is a reasonable fortune that you've managed to accrue in quite a short amount of time.
Short?
Yes. You've not exactly been led by anyone for a period of time, have you? Never mind, this probably goes beyond you.
He seems genuinely perplexed.
I need information from inside Howd Gwen.
Gonna have to be there to get it.
That's the problem. You broke rather quickly. We didn't even start cutting off fingers.
Yep.
A popular nobleman like you must have a trusted and discreet servant, one who would usher out the ladies of the night and tell no one. Perhaps this gentleman or gentle lady would be capable of doing what I ask. An ear here, an ear there. Should they provide you with a good amount of information, perhaps we would keep you alive. Perhaps we would see you take your place within Howdgwen once all this is over. Once we are done, well, Howdgwen will be in dire need of councilmen.
He thinks for a moment and is like, you're not wrong on all of those accounts.
One.
It's really good rolls, one. So you know that he is being amicable, but you honestly can tell, like, he is doing the whole going through the steps, going through the motions, but is totally thinking,
Backstab
fuck
you
you
as soon as possible.
Yep. Which is literally what she told you was going to happen.
One
Very
says,
well.
Brian, this is a waste of time. This is exactly how we knew it was going to play out. Do you mind? And he just like you see his hands start to glow.
Before you do this, I would give our guest here one last chance. Would you go and fetch me a quill and some paper and an ink pot, please? I will have just a few quiet words with him, and then you can return. And if you still believe, if I can't persuade you otherwise, then we will have to do what has to be done. He looks sadly at the Lord.
You're asking one to go?
Yep, and get him a quill and ink pot and a
He said,
piece of parchment.
Whoopah.
One turns, probably walks. Is there guards around?
There are guards around, of course. Not in the room, because you wanted to question them silently, but there are guards outside.
There'd be one watching her right now.
Mm-hmm. And there'd probably be another one down here as well, but not in an earshot area.
Yeah.
It'd likely be like trusted guards. Like
he leaves to like get out of sight and just tells the other, like tells the guard to go fetch an ink pot, and he just stands out of sight and just doesn't say anything.
Now, I'm a nobleman. I understand the way of these things. I would do my best not to kill you and return you safe or with a ransom if possible. One here will kill you as soon as he can. Give me a reason to have him do otherwise. I will bring you a parchment. I will bring you ink. I will bring you a quill. You will write everything that is pertinent. Every bit of information that I could possibly need that you can think about Howdgwen, your dealings, and the contact details of those you know, including your trusted servants. Do you understand me?
Completely.
the more information you provide, the more likely we can save more lives, or that is what the martyr is about. But acquiring that information for saving those lives can cost others.
He nods and says, obviously we don't want too much bloodshed to be spilled on this battlefield. I agree with you. Besides, it does terrible for the coffers on either side. Very well. Quill and ink. I'll give for you all the information that I can.
Need I remind you, Lord, that although you do not believe you're going to come out of this alive, even if you think we're going to kill you nonetheless, it would be a shame if your bloodline ended with you, wouldn't it? If Beltran wasn't to survive the coming war either.
When you say that, his eyes narrow and says, you are a fucking slug beneath Beltran's boot. He will stomp you out, you a Maltese piece of shit.
One comes back.
Have we got the ink and the quill?
Yeah, I believe one of the guards is fetching it, and he just walks straight for the guy and grabs him by the face and just brands his face.
Yeah.
I believe this is where I leave. And I just give Rayron a nod, walk out.
Rayron would tell one, once he's finished with the branding, to wait. We wait for the parchment and the ink. He looks at the Lord and he says, "Be that as it may, if you think that, that is fine. However, I'm a bit more practical, and your words cannot disturb what I'm intending to do. You will live and you will serve and you will survive. That was simply a reminder that we cannot hurt just you. Do you understand?"
Oh, I understand everything you're saying.
Where's this guard with this parchment? Come on.
It shows.
The expediency.
Well, you guys are chatting so much. It's, talking's fast, walking slow. So
He should be running, damn it.
You just get a message from Valorant. The guard's on his way.
he comes walking in. He stops for a second because he's like, really got a sharp booger in there. And Val's like, dude. And he's like, oh, sorry.
Patient interface.
And then goes over, hands the parchment over to you. Oh, Rena's here. Hide.
Okay, so Rayron would set down the parchment, the quill, the ink in front of him.
Okay.
You may begin.
He immediately starts. And he actually does really good structured, note keeping and whatnot. Persons of notes, positions that they have, peoples to contact, name of his servants. Actually, honestly, the name of the top 3 servants would be best to speak to. That would be the most amicable, and so on and so forth. We're talking details of things. Actually written out right there.
Can I sense motive after he's finished on
sense
what he's
motive,
wrote?
sense motive, a piece of paper.
If we read them back to him and judge his reaction.
Well, he's going to be a long time, I hope.
Yeah, this isn't a quick thing. There's a lot of.
We're going to watch. There's several leaves there. We'll watch for 5 minutes, and once I can see that he's doing these nicely structured, it's real information. He's just not just going, "I'm all tea slugs, I'm all tea slugs" over and over about 50 times.
No.
Once I'm satisfied that he's not doing that, I will leave and I will say, "Come on, one, let us go. Lord Greyrus, you will have a meal brought to you in about half an hour." And then lock the gate. And once we're out of sight and out of earshot, I will, Rayron would stop and talk to one.
With Valorant or?
I mean, if
Val could be out
Valorant's
here, yeah.
Yeah. As I said,
he would have gone far enough that he can't hear what's going on, but also he could probably hear if torture does start, at which point he'll go further.
yeah. Rayron would say, "The Lord will give us all the information and the contacts. Hopefully some of it will provide useful to Lady Greyrus. As I said, we will not kill him. We said that. That is our word. We will not kill him. However, perhaps the shame of being captured, being caught in a cell is too much. Perhaps he manages to get himself on his hands on some form of makeshift rope. And unfortunately, our good lady finds herself a widow."
Unfortunate things do happen.
Especially to those of noble birth.
Comfortable.
Especially to those of noble birth. Falling from their positions is a hard thing to take.
Yeah.
Some of
Poor
them survive.
Lord. What's his name? I don't know his last name.
Greyrus. Some of them only survive a few weeks in prison. Come, we shouldn't worry about that. We're done here and we've done good work.
Okay.
One nods.
He gives a meaningful look to one at the end after he's like, some of them only survive a couple of weeks in prison. Meaningful look to one, and then they leave the dungeons. Jeez, that's so dark.
Okay. Well, you literally are in the darkest dungeon.
Oh man, I really liked it when you played that game and then you stopped.
Well, yeah, because I started playing more games with you. You're welcome. I'm expanding on
welcome.
your universe, Neil. I don't know if you remember,
You're welcome.
but many months ago you said, "Hey Scott, I would really like to play a game when I was doing Kingmaker," and I said, "Neil, I'll make a world for you, buddy." And you were like, "Oh, thanks, Scott. You made a whole world just for me?" And I was like, "No, but yeah."
We did talk about Kingmaker a long time ago.
Yeah. So you mean to say is, thank you, Scott, for not playing Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So, anyways, yeah, awesome. That was a pretty dark session. I mean,
That was heavy.
Jake, you twisted them. So you twisted her to the point where she's like, "Yeah, I'm not messing with you, no matter what. I am not messing with you. I will give for you what you want. You're making me big offers. There's no, like, literally, it's a win-win. I don't die, and I might have position if I work with you. Sure, because I saw what happened to them." And he's like, "I saw what you did. I don't trust you, no matter what you say, what you promise, how you promise it, because you promised them to go away free. Then you tied them up, lied them down face down, and had somebody curb stomping them until they died." So, I mean, like, it was... Yeah, it was pretty horrible.
That was just one person doing that.
Yeah, but that leaves an impression.
No, it was horrific, but it was useful.
Listen. I saw American History X, I think twice. And that scene, which I only watched the first time I saw it, was enough to leave an impression on me that sometimes when you're like taking a poop or a shower or something, you remember it and it turns your stomach queasy. That's a scene from a movie. They smelt what you guys did. They heard every detail and they had to stand there and watch the after effect. There was no camera cutting away. There was no, it's okay. The actor actually made good money doing this. Yeah, no, those characters are messed up from what they witnessed. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to say, look at who they are.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying these horrible people don't deserve horrible things. What I'm saying is, you left an impression.
Yeah. I think one acted entirely in character and appropriately.
Yeah.
Like you say, it was a battle situation with someone who's morally reprehensible.
I mean, and once again, if you're looking in the war between Valerian and Hod Gwen, chips just keep falling into your coin purse. And it's fun because we get to go over what it was that you actually looted of that dungeon, but we're not going to do that now because it's already 1:15, and which is very, 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 very late at whatever time it is for them over there, and I'm sure they want to sleep. So why don't we do our quick little round robin, and then we'll
Bless out Aussie boys.
We'll peace out. So first of all, we'll do Tesh, because hi Tesh, we love you.
Hi, I'm totally awake. I own Tesh of the Tesh Tube. You can find me under that name on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you should follow me on Twitter because I post lots of cute animal gifs and also updates about all the things I'm doing, such as this show and other D&D shows that happen on Sunday American time, Monday my time. More information about that later. But the thing I'm doing a lot at the moment is if you like Borderlands, I've been streaming that basically like every day last week. Borderlands 3 is fantastic, and I've been streaming a lot of that. But Borderlands, Destiny, Warframe, RPGs, that sort of thing. Come follow. You'll enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. And I keep hearing awesome things about Borderlands. So I honestly haven't checked out any of your streams of it, though. So I'm going to have to check it out because I haven't seen anybody play it yet. So I might as well watch yours.
What I will say is it has streamer integration, which is a really cool feature that more games
that's
do.
Amazing. I didn't know that.
The only downside is you have to sign up for like a Borderlands Spacer account or whatever.
Shift, yeah.
Shift, that's it.
But like you can do things like you can get loot for your own game whenever a streamer opens a big chest. Like people in chat can win the chance to choose loot from it.
Which is cool.
Yep, they can cause a pinata to spawn with loot, and the chat gets to vote on what's in the pinata, and sometimes it's a grenade. They can take over when a badass enemy spawns. Sometimes chat will get the option to take over it, and they'll get the option to give it health regeneration, heal it entirely, make it stronger, make it do more damage, cool. Have it drop money, have it drop ammo, and it'll have the name of the person in chat. Slashers actually did it. Slashers took over a badass in nice. I think, and wiped us out with it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. That was when we were like level 7 and just started the game, and we were like, "What is happening?" So it's the streamer integration is phenomenal. It's so much fun.
That's so cool.
So much fun.
I won't lie. I really, really, really want to try it. I think someone said they might be able to get me a code for it. I think I have to reach out and ask, because I was like, oh, because I don't have time to play. But when you say stuff like that, I'm like, but can I find time? The answer is no. But I'll try.
The reason why I've been streaming it like every day is just because of how much fun I'm having with that streamer integration thing. I can't speak.
Integration.
You know what I mean? Thank you. Yeah. Like it's been pushing me to be like, I want to like I could play this offline, or I could stream it.
yeah. Like I say, it's just a fun thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah. All right, and then that's going to be Neil.
Hey guys, I am Neil, or at every time. It's so old. I am Neil, or at Naghite. You can find me on the Discord at Naghite, or on Twitter at Naghite_, where I do nothing on Twitter, but I'm active in the Discord. I play here on a Wednesday, and also in what would be 40 minutes, I would also be playing on twitch.tv/OllyRant, but we're still on a break because of the end of a campaign. Yep. So we are going to be starting, I believe, next week. I don't know whether Ollie has leaked the name.
Oh, I was going to say, are you guys continuing, because I don't know if you can say this, are you guys continuing Yavascare, or are you doing are you doing Yavascare or a different... Oh, okay, cool.
D&D 5e Yav,
okay, cool,
but
cool.
It's new.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to finding that out.
Because I know sometimes he does that as like campaign break, like side things.
Yeah. So we discussed it, but Dean and Doxy are vanilla little bitches who only like D&D 5e. Please clip that and send it to them, everyone. So we're doing 5e.
If you clip that, make sure you let Dean and Doxy know. Fuck you guys. Keep that in the clip.
That's a long clip. They're gonna have to struggle to fit that one in.
No, you can get like 45 seconds if you need to.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Jake wants to talk.
Yeah, I'm Jake, your resident, really good guy Inquisitor. You can find me here, and also Lost Initiative, Dark Sun. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. All right, you know who I am. You know where to find me. And if you don't, scroll down and click a button. I'm sure all of those times on that schedule there are accurate. I'm sure. Except for Monday night, because Maggie keeps canceling. So, but that's not me. Maggie keeps canceling. So, all right. Bye.
Bye.